Welcome to the Mobile County Public Schools Athletic Show. My name's Brad Lowell, District Athletic Director for the Mobile County Public Schools. Today we're here with Blount High School. Coach Holly, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you being here, and we're already week 5, midway football season. I know you've been one of the long-time tenure coaches now for our county. Tell us a little bit about this season and kind of where you are at this point.
Well, first off, man, just blessed to be where we are. It's Blount High School, starting with Mr. Woods, the principal, on down to his administration, the faculty, the staff, and the support in the community as a whole. So we're very blessed, very fortunate to be where we are and be able to mentor and to coach and to teach the kids that we teach every single day. Overall, I think the program is in a really good situation. A bunch of pride, a bunch of spirit around the community, a bunch of excitement. Just glad to be able to go to work every day and call myself a leopard, and be able to carry the tradition on that's been set forth.
Well, and you bring up a lot of good points there. Anytime we talk about Blount High School, you have to bring up tradition. And as you mentioned, the community involvement, and you bring up a good point too of having support of your administration. I mean, that's a big deal. And can you elaborate on that a little bit about the pride that it brings to the school?
Well, Mr. Woods, he's an athletic person. He's an old coach, so he understands, he gets it, understand what it takes to be successful. When you start talking about building a cultural, one that the kid can not only use while they're at Blount, but when they become those guys become men, fathers, and
right.
husbands, and those females become wives and mothers, and I mean all that stuff plays a part. But we want to just give those kids something they can hang their head on, something that they can leave and say, hey, I want to come back, I want to donate, I want to be a part, again, give them an experience, a culture that they can always consider a foundation. So,
right.
I think that's one of the things in the support staff that we've assembled ourselves around. I think you'll find that out a little bit later when you bring Michelle Briggs on and Christopher Edwards, both alumni, both who has Blount to heart and does everything they can to make sure those kids are taken care of.
That's awesome that you have those alumni that are not only giving back but also at the school now as teachers and building that, continuing that community support throughout, while they're there, but also for the kids and teaching them life lessons, because that's what it's about. I mean, it's about building them a foundation to be successful in the future.
Exactly.
Well, I know when we talk about football this year, and a couple of years ago you graduated a good number of kids, and then last year you had a pretty young team and fought through a lot of adversity last year. Those kids gained a lot of experience. How do you feel about where you are this year up midway point?
I feel really good. I think anytime you can look up and you're 4-1 overall and 3-1 in the region, you beat your rival. You come in and you lose a close one, St. Paul, but you come back and get another win against Baldwin County. You kind of look up and realize that, hey, you're halfway there. So we're pretty much guaranteed 5 more games. So, I think the one thing that we've been really consistent on, is the cultural. Always keeping that intact, always realizing that, we talk about every day about the brick by brick, brick by brick, brick by brick, but, it's not the bricks that we're looking at. We're looking at the mortar that hold the bricks together. So those are the small things, the discipline, the academics, the social life, and the spiritual aspect of it. Just making sure that those things stay in order, and just looking at, the growth. I think this team went through a lot last year, but I think going through a lot taught us a lot about ourselves, not just as players, but as coaches, and, just understanding that we have a lot to do, that we can never take things for granted. So just coming in the off season, we worked on the character development, worked on, the academic side, worked on just building ourselves up, being great men, being guys that are always doing what you're supposed to do, and having integrity. So, I'm not surprised at the success we're having, but I think we still have a long way to go. So it's kind of, we're coming up on the off week this week,
right.
So give us time to get some kids healthy. Gives them time just to kind of sit back and hit the reset button as coaches, and get some things done to get ready for the run.
Are you a big fan of the off weeks?
I am a big fan of the off week. I think it's very important because you look at this long season, we've been really going since January. Hadn't been no stopping for real. You know, so just kind of get back in and get those little nagging injuries taken care of, and in the midst of doing all that, still, you know, working on us to get better, working on things that we think we can do better, things that we want to install going in, you know, with the upcoming schedule. We're getting ready to hit a tough little stretch here. So, you know, I think it's very important, you know, because again, it allows our kids to be teenagers, you know, just do the right thing, but also give them a week just to kind of sit back. And, you know, I told them right now, I don't want you to think about football. I want you to just kind of sit back and things you need to take care of. If it's a grade, if it's academics, take care of that. If it's going to tutoring, that's good. You know, and most of all, spending time with your family. So, you know, I think we're in a good place, and I'm excited to see where we go from here.
Well, and I know you mentioned you're 4-1 overall. A lot of people would love to be 4-1 at this point. 3-1 in a very, very, very difficult region. It seems like every year the region that you guys play in seems to have somebody probably playing in the state championship game every year.
Well, we are very fortunate. There's a bunch of great coaches in this area that take things and they do it the right way. You know, so I think that's a testament to the administration that's hiring these guys that we're coaching against every day. I think it's a testament to the communities that's involved, a testament to the parents, because without the parent, we don't have jobs. You know, they give us their kids, and you know, they expect us to do the right thing with them and help mold them, and I think that's what we're doing. But every single week it's tough. It's a grind, day in, day out. You know, but that's part of it. You know, so I think as coaches, that's why we get in this profession. You know, to be able to coach at a high level every single week, and again, not taking the things for granted. But you know, you look up and hey, it's one of those deals, man. I think anything can happen. You know, I think it's all about timing. It's all about being in the right place and hitting that peak at the right stretch. And one thing about it, I don't think we've peaked yet. You know, you look on film, we still have a lot of things that we have to correct, but you know, I think they're very correctable mistakes. You know, so you know, but I'm just excited for this team. I tell everybody, man, I think this team has a chance to be really special. Really love the way they've gone about their business. You know, so just excited to see where it goes from here.
And sometimes, you know, a loss can be technically more beneficial than a win.
Well, I think the St. Paul thing, it opened our eyes, you know, because our kids have got to a point that, you know, and then I want you to feel like you can't be beat, but in the midst of doing that, you still got to stay humble,
That's right.
Stay resilient throughout the process, you know, process versus results, you know, so I think focus on the process, not the results, because when you focus on the process, the results that you want will come.
And sometimes that taste of defeat of where you don't want to have to taste that again can actually motivate a team.
Well, I think our kids came in and after when we got to looking at film and got to just really, you know, get into the thick of it, you know, they realized that, man, is very small. And I do something every time. I always hold up this right here, because I know once we get the small things down and consistently do them on a consistent basis, I think we have a chance to have a really good football team. And you know, like I say football team, but we're not coaching to have a team. You know, we want to have a program that's consistently winning.
That's right.
But consistently winning the right way, consistently doing things the right way. You know, because at the end of the day, our culture is about serving and giving.
Right.
And I think when you serve and you give, you know, the blessing will come and they'll flow to you. So, you know, that's kind of where we are as Blount High School athletic program as whole. But just excited, just again, to be a part of this tradition, a part of this family, a part of something that's really great, that help this community, you know, give people out on Friday night, you know, somewhere they can go where it's a family-oriented environment, somewhere that, you know, that everyone there loves each other, you know, and for the most part, you know, have kids in mind. So, you know, I don't think you can ask for nothing better when you start dealing with that.
Well said. We have to go to break, as always. It's always a pleasure having you on, and wish you the best on the back end of this schedule, and good luck.
No doubt. Just appreciate what y'all do.
Appreciate
what you do as for this county. You know, it goes unnoticed, the things that you do. So, for myself and other coaches, man, we appreciate you and what you put in, and Mr. Thread Gill and on down.
I appreciate it. And we'll be back after the break.
The Environmental Studies Center is a natural sciences education facility designed to provide unique learning experiences. In addition, wildlife rehabilitation plays a vital role each day at the center. Featuring more than 500 acres of rich woodlands, the center affords teachers, students, and the general public an opportunity to experience firsthand the natural environment. Environmental Studies Center. It starts with us in the Mobile County Public Schools.
Hello, I'm Renee Phillips, your host of Homeroom. Will you join us as we talk with the students, teachers, and staff about all of the great things happening in our schools?
That's right, Renee. Not only are we here to keep you informed about the great things happening in our schools, but to also keep you updated on safety issues.
Our show, Safe Schools, looks at ways to keep your child and our students safe.
Not only are we looking at ways to keep your child and our students safe, but to keep you informed on how to connect with us.
Manténgase informado aquí en Conexión a Padres.
And we also score big from pre-K to high school with MCPSS athletics.
And then Inside Education puts it all together for you, showing you the ins and outs about news and events taking place across the Mobile County Public School District. We do this to keep you informed.
All right, welcome back to our show. We're here with Miss Briggs from Blount. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
I appreciate it. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, wow.
Like who you are, where you started, and what's kind of brought you to this point in your career.
Okay. Well, I'm a graduate of Blount High School, class of that class, and this is my 24th year at Blount High School. I'm a registered nurse, but right now I've been out of the hospital setting now for this length of time, 24 years, and I teach healthcare science. The students that are in my program, the Health Careers Access Program, students who have said that they want to go into the health sciences area, so we produce CNAs. But along with that, I have a couple of other hats that I wear, and I'm proud of that as well. I'm over the varsity cheer squad, and I also work with the band auxiliaries, majorette dance and flag corps, and a couple of community service activities on campus. But I also work closely with the coaches because I kind of dip my nose into their athletics during the time when I'm of their season. Sure. I'm just a nosy body, but I enjoy what I do. That's all I can say, really. I really enjoy what I do.
Well, that's awesome. So you obviously having that nursing background and then going in to teach the healthcare profession to the kids. I mean, that's, I think, something to be proud of, and being able to, you know, take that information and be able to provide that to the kids to be prepared to be nurses. I mean, that's, do you have a lot of participation in that program?
It's growing over each year it is. And I say that because what we're trying to do is to give kids an opportunity to see that they have options. They don't necessarily have to go into nursing. There are other healthcare careers, and those are the ones they don't know about. So those are the ones we want to expose them to. And they get that exposure by being in healthcare facilities. And we have many facilities around Mobile County that allow our students to come in and do a shadowing experience, as well as the University of South Alabama's medical school that allows us to go into their Stars and Stripes program during the summer. So we're really excited about the opportunities that are there for students. They just have to know that they're there and reach out for them, and you know,
exposure's huge.
Yes, it is.
And you make a good point there. Well, you say not only do you do that, but you also are the varsity cheer sponsor, and you work with the band and all their auxiliary peoples. How do you juggle those things? That's a lot of attention to detail.
It is, but the way that I approach it is that my role is to develop leaders as well. So you kind of put students in a position whereas they have to self-manage. And even though some of them have never been in leadership positions, start early, 9th and 10th grade, they know your expectations, so therefore juniors and seniors, they're already ready. And those are the ones you put in positions to actually lead the program, but you're an overseer. So as long as the kids are doing what they're supposed to do and I'm right there to guide them, then I think that that's what makes the program successful.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point about building that leadership among the kids themselves, and that gives them a sense of autonomy and pride in what they do and when they take ownership.
Yes, and we at the school really stress the fact that the student starts here, looking on the outside as well as what's going on the inside. So if they look good, if they're in a good environment, they're going to do what they're supposed to do, and which makes them better students.
Well, that's awesome. And you say, of course, you like to dip your nose into athletics, and it seems that you have a very, very high interest in what's going on and what you do. Obviously, being an alumni, you take a lot of pride in Blount High School and what's going on at Blount High School. What are some of the things you do to help the athletic coaches?
Well, I've asked Coach Holly if it's okay, because I don't want to overstep my boundaries, but I like for the student, the athlete, to understand that he's a student first. And we want to recognize what they do on the field, but also academically. So we're going to start some things as to allowing the athlete to know we are looking at what you're doing in the classroom as well, because everyone won't be a star on the football field.
That's right.
But they can be a star in the classroom. And sometimes you don't never know, that can spill over into another area and really make them feel good about themselves, and just kind of rewarding what needs to be rewarded, and that's the academic student.
Well, that's one thing I like about any extracurricular activity, whether it's band, whether it's cheer, whether it's athletics. I mean, to me, being involved in something helps bring a little bit of focus.
It makes the whole student.
It does.
It really gives them something to feel proud about. And I just believe what my mom used to say a long time ago, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So the more kids you get involved in doing something, whether they're the best at that or not, or if they even, maybe not even be that good, but if they're involved, then they feel some ownership. And you just never know what kind of student they'll turn out to be.
And some may be good at something they had no idea.
Had no idea.
And I
It's
think
just exposure. Go back to exposure. Yeah.
And that's why I think that's a great, idea and plan that you have for those kids, providing that opportunity to expose them to things that they normally wouldn't be exposed to. Well, I know Coach Holly speaks very highly of you on things that you do for Blount and the school itself and for him, and taking that kind of role to build a whole student, as you mentioned. Academics is so important that a lot of the kids, sometimes it's sports, but in reality, like you said, in the long run, it's going to be their academic work.
That's right, because everyone is not guaranteed. When I talk to athletes, I say, look at the percentages of the number of people who actually play a sport and actually become a professional in that area. So that can't be your plan A.
It's not very high, is it?
It's not very high in any sport.
That's right.
But not only that, you just don't know what it is that you can do until you make an attempt. So we also try to expose them to community service activities, which they start networking, meeting people that are doing some things, and go, hey, maybe I'd want to do that. That's so it's a lot of things that they can do.
And I love the idea of community service. I think it's really important as building the whole student, as you mentioned.
Got to learn to give back.
Got to learn to give back.
Got to learn to give back.
That's what makes a community. And I think emphasizing that at a young age and the importance of it is really big for their growth. When you look at building those model students and those holistic students, when they come in, a lot of times, they have to have some sense of direction, some sense of where do I belong? And so
we have to put those ideas into their heads,
right.
Because again, they've not been exposed to many things. So when you bring about a new thing, it's almost like you're kind of invading on their culture. But there's nothing wrong with broadening that spectrum in the culture. So exposure again. And with me coming from the old Blount, well, we won't say how old, but anyway, the old Blount, there's so many things that I would like to remain steadfast. Right. I want it to stay. I don't want it to leave.
That's right.
I don't know how others feel about it, but just as long as I know it's all about tradition, and we want the kids to start setting their foundations of what they want to be traditional to them, but in the positive way. So being active in the community, doing community service, being academically sound, going off to college, and if not going into the workforce, but being a positive image there. All of those things can really help.
Miss Briggs, we got to go to break. And I really, really enjoyed talking with you and you being here this morning. Thank you.
I want to thank you for inviting me again.
All right, we'll be back after the break.
It's a fact. Bullying happens. Bullying can lead to serious physical and emotional pain. But there are some things you can do to prevent or stop it. Stand up for the person who's being bullied. Let the bully know that it's not cool to pick on others. Take action by reporting the bully to a teacher or principal. In the end, when you help someone who's being bullied, you are also helping yourself.
I believe my child's school is probably one of the best ones I could have picked in Mobile. She's in the PACE program. The teachers are phenomenal. The principal, couldn't ask for a better principal. The research that I had done myself, I believe the quality of education in Mobile County Public School System is excellent. For me and my child, I'm going to stick with the public school system. I think it's the way to go.
All right, welcome back to our show. We're here with Coach Edwards from Blount. Coach, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you started, and kind of where you've gotten to as far as this point in your career.
Okay. As you said, I'm Christopher Edwards. I'm originally from Mobile.
Okay.
I actually grew up in Trinity Gardens.
Good deal.
I'm a graduate of Blount High School, 2001. Ran track, played football. If they shot marbles at Blount, I did it.
Right, right.
So after leaving Blount, I went to Jackson State University.
Awesome.
After Jackson State, matriculated to Alabama State, and ran track in college. I got a chance to run track in college. That's what paid for my education. My first 8 years, I taught in Montgomery County, and I've been back home for 3 years now at Blount High School, teaching history.
Okay, oh, good deal, good deal. So strong track background.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, that's something you love to do, and I know we were talking about as a history teacher too. Well, that's awesome that you've had that experience and coming here, and now you're coaching right now the cross country team.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about your cross country team, what y'all do, and kind of how you prepare those kids to go out and run the 5K.
Right. Right. Well, it's a new experience for my guys. Especially, I have a junior, Patrick Pettaway. He's a pretty good 800-miler, but he's never had experience running cross country. And like I said, I attended Blount and I played football instead of running cross country.
Gotcha.
So when I got to college, it was thrusted upon me, oh, you're gonna run cross country. And to be honest, I was pretty good at it. Won all SWAC all years that I ran. And so I really and truly just wanted to give them that experience of running cross country. And I think if you have that base of running cross country, your indoor and your outdoor season will be much stronger.
Right. Yeah, that's a great way to prepare for the indoor-outdoor season. But it's been pretty hot, hasn't it?
It has. And you know, around the time we get out of school, around 3:30, the temperatures are like a heat index of 105.
Right.
So what I've chosen to do on Mondays and Tuesdays, just run to school. And I know that's like 2 or 3 miles. He would run to school, and then in the afternoons, we would wait till like 6:30, maybe 6:30 to go out and run. By then, it's a little bit, a lot cooler than 105.
Yeah, it's tough to manage that heat when it's like that and get to that point. Well, I know you mentioned that you also, being a track person, you coach indoor and outdoor track.
Yes, sir.
And once cross country is coming to an end, you're jumping right into indoor, right?
Straight into indoor, yes,
You know,
sir.
how does that correlate, you know, getting into indoor, I guess the biggest thing, what's the difference between the indoor and the outdoor to you? The main
Indoor
difference?
and outdoor, the one main thing is the track size. Indoor, it's a 200-yard track. Outdoor is 400 yards.
Right.
Indoor is more so speed. Speed, and you have to have some type of knowledge of running on the indoor track. Outdoor, you have to have knowledge as well, but you have a little bit more time to think on the outdoor track. Indoor, it's just like that.
It just happens so fast.
Yes, sir, it does.
Well, I know you said you've been down here for 3 years.
Yes, sir.
And obviously you've been molding and building a program for your track program. You know, what is your outlook for this year, you know, with the kids that you have coming for indoor and outdoor?
My outlook with, every year we prepare ourselves and we set goals. We set long-term, short-term, and right-now goals. Our right-now goals are to be competitive in Mobile County with cross-country. You know, this is something new to all my guys, and it's gonna take a while. Like I told them, it's gonna take a while, but we'll get there. Indoor, my guys are not used to really running indoor track. So that's something I have to prepare them for, as far as when you run the 800 instead of 2 times around, what you're used to, you're gonna have to run 4 times around. So mentally preparing my guys, that's gonna be the largest hurdle.
And and how do you prepare for indoor track? You know, what do you do to practice? What do you do to prepare for that? Because like you said, it's not running on a 400.
No, it's not.
It's half the size, so.
Okay, luckily we stay in the South, and the weather doesn't get too cold to whereas we can't still practice outside. But if it rains or if it's a little too chilly for them, we will actually use the building. We will actually practice inside, inside the building.
And I know, like you said, that's kind of built more towards speed, right?
Yes, sir.
And then you really get into the full, when you get to outdoor track, your field events, and,
yes, sir.
And then, of course, still the main running event.
Yes, sir.
You know, with your guys throughout the year, do you have guys that kind of prepare for the season all year long? How do you?
Most definitely. We use cross country as a springboard. Like now, some of my sprinters, I know you all can't run 3 miles, but come on out and get that practice and build your endurance. So when indoor comes, because like I say, indoor and outdoor, that's a long season.
That's right.
Indoor starts like roughly end of October, November, and you won't finish running until May. So it's a long season. So the better I can condition you and get you stronger, therefore you can last the whole season.
Do you do a lot of stuff in the summer with your kids, or?
Most definitely. I work with MPRD, track club, and as a matter of fact, I had a chance to take not only Patrick, but a couple other kids from the Mobile County area. I think I took 10. I know I took 10 out to Sacramento, California, to the Junior Olympics.
I bet that was a great experience.
It really was.
Well, Coach, we got to end the show, but I appreciate you being here and talking about you and your program, and the best of luck to you this year.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming on. All right, that'll conclude our show. We'll be back next week.